Hello and welcome to the Flag to Flag Motorsport Podcast. My name is Charlie Roscoe and I'm joined by expert livery designer Ryan from Ryan Lee Graphics and as always the very esteemed Willie. Welcome gentlemen.
Hello.
G'day gentlemen.
Now before we get into any racing, which of course we are going to be covering off on the Blancpain from Zolder as well as the MotoGP, but before we do that, if you saw our last video that we uploaded, it was actually the three of us together geographically at the Phillip Island Australian GT round, which was a very good weekend. So I do recommend you go and check that out. But did you enjoy yourself, lads? How was it?
Well, yeah, one thing that the video didn't tell was how freaking cold it was.
Yeah.
Because I've been there a fair few times now, and I've never, ever felt it that cold before. That was ridiculous.
The wind was really, really icy. It's a kind of icy wind you tend to get when it's sort of snowing on the mountains nearby and the wind's coming down and sort of cutting through you.
Yep.
I guess that is the island, though. And we did have plenty of rain on Sunday, so obviously there was a few pictures and that sort of thing up there to show that. But conditions were pretty average. Luckily, well, I say luckily for us, but I was actually a little disappointed with the turnout. Such good racing. It's good to see them live. Like I think I actually prefer to see the GTs live because the sound the cars make, the variety of the cars, you know, they've got a presence on the track. They're wide. They're just big, fat, and they're awesome. And it's just great to see live. And it's a shame. It's the sort of thing that I really strongly recommend anyone who can get down to a GT3 race go and do it because they're fantastic. They really are good to watch. But the crowd was really disappointing, I thought.
It was pretty dismal, yeah.
Yeah, not many numbers, but it wasn't. For me, it was my first time at the island, and to see them there as well. And I didn't realise in quite a few spots how close you could get to the track without being sort of blocked off by any barriers or weird fences or anything like that. So it was good to be able to get all the way around the track and to see, and not really have to worry about people in the way. But at the same time, like you were saying, you'd like to see it packed.
Well, yeah, it was certainly convenient for us on the weekend because, you know, Sunday was pretty bad conditions and we were able to go and park the car on an angle at the hill at Siberia and we had a pretty good view of the track and you can see, I mean, it's a great place to actually park yourself anyway, excuse me, regardless of which weekend you were there because you can see all the way down through Stoner Curve into Honda, down through Siberia and even up towards the Hayshed a little bit. So it's a good spot to watch and we were able to do it really from the car.
Yeah. Which was handy because it was pouring down rain for half the race.
Yeah, it really was pretty sketchy conditions. And it was cold as well. Even when it wasn't raining, it was really cold. But all in all, it was a good weekend. It was certainly nice to catch up. And I'll put a link down in the description anyway so you can go and watch that video. There wasn't so much podcasting stuff done. Probably something we'd work on for next time. But yeah, it was a fun weekend. It was nice to get down there and of course, big thanks to the guys at Eggleston Motorsport who had us in the pits looking around. Quick chat to Dom Story and Peter Hackett and all the rest. So it was really good. And a big thanks to those guys as well.
Yeah, definitely.
And we got to see your livery in real life, Ryan. So and
didn't it just look fantastic?
It did. Even the lack of sunlight didn't stop the gold from shining through.
Yeah, no, I was a bit worried about that to start with. But as the weekend went by, we saw some amazing shots of the car coming out, so I was pretty relieved.
Yeah.
But I think overall I was just pretty happy to be going to see some racing again, and I always love seeing the GT3 cars and the way they move around the track, and it's always good to see.
It is. So yeah, my recommendation is if you can get down to a GT3 race anywhere in your area, go and do it. And of course, it's back on this weekend. Ryan, I believe you're going.
Yeah, going off to Winton.
Which is always a good track, so it'll be a good little bit of viewing, and as I say, they're great to see in real life. But speaking of them, we'll start with the Blancpain race from Zolder, a track that I actually do quite like. I've done a lot of laps around there, obviously not in real life, but on various racing simulators, and I actually really do enjoy the track. But it is a very narrow track. And those big wide GT3 cars I was just talking about, they don't make it look any wider than it really is, do they?
Yeah, it's not a track that invites passing without an error from the current front, really.
No, that's exactly right, and we probably saw that in race one or the qualifying race. because it was a pretty crazy start. All in all, it was actually a really messy start. It just didn't seem like people were lining up properly. I don't know if the guys at the front were sort of holding or going slower than expected or what have you, but it just kind of... It fanned out before the race had even started. And in fact, I think 2 cars got a penalty for being out of position on the grid. And yeah, it just turned instantly into 4 or 5 wide down into turn 1. And unsurprisingly, that didn't go. And it took all of the first corner before we saw a big incident. Basically, a couple of cars got together. The brick wall is right there at the edge of the track, or the concrete wall even. And it's pretty savage. Tore a few cars up to start the race.
Yeah, and interestingly... it was Mirko Bortolotti in the 63 Lamborghini who actually caused the red flag at the start of the Monza race as well, from moving across at the start of the race and tagging a car, and subsequently lots of accidents happened after that. But this one was a little bit more direct. He's moved over, the Audi sort of clipped the right rear of him, and then the nose of the McLaren has swiped over to the left into the side of the Lamborghini, and then they've both gone into the wall, which is pretty hard. Sad for Straka, though, because that 43 car is new for this round, because it has been dramatically repaired after 3 major incidents now. And they've actually changed the number from number 44 to number 43, hoping that it would bring them a bit more luck. And well, it lasted about one corner, so that didn't really work out too well for them.
No. You got to feel sorry for them, as you say. Like, it must be savage. We sort of look at the drivers and the disappointment of them, but what about the guys back in the pits actually fixing it each time?
Yep. Even during the safety car, once the tow truck was heading into the pit lane, it was holding up, I think, the number 26 Audi. They were trying to come into the pit lane, and they got stuck behind the tow truck.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, but I mean, I think he had a puncture or something. He wasn't really meant to be coming in, but at the end of the day, if he's coming in and the truck's in the way, the truck can't disappear. So
no, because the truck moved over a bit and then pulled back in, and it sort of looked a bit hesitant, and then looked like the Audi sort of just went, oh well.
Well,
whatever.
the point where he caught up to him is just about where the pit lane actually starts anyway, and you've got to put your limiter on and slow down. So I guess that the truck would have been doing the pit limit at least anyway. Yeah. But
unfortunate things, but it is a little strange to see nonetheless. It's not something you're used to, sort of watching a race car follow a truck into the pit lane. But yeah, it is a narrow track, and it's a very old school track without a doubt.
Yes.
And the pit exit is very unique as well. I mean, that's the longest pit exit I can think of off the top of my head. It's huge. Like, just goes
even the entry, the whole pit lane itself is massive.
Yeah, it's got to be Sorry, go.
Yeah, the drive-throughs for the weekend, or the stop and goes, or whatever they were doing, that just smashed them. Absolutely,
the drive-throughs were savage. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Like, as a result, you may as well have just pulled in to your pit box and got out of the car. Yeah. Because going through, you just got annihilated.
And as I say, I think there were a few drive-throughs from the penalties on the start line of that quali race for being out of place.
Yeah, which is it's a bit disappointing, really, from the drivers, because there was actually penalties for the same thing happening at Silverstone, because the rule states that when you do the 2x2 formation start, you have to drive over the pit boxes. It was evident from as soon as they come around the corner that wasn't even happening, and I just thought straight away, what are these guys doing? And then without fail, a few of them did get penalties, and one of those was the leader of the race at the time. So that'll teach him.
Well, I can't believe there was only 2. To be honest, I thought there could have been a lot more, because it just was a weird start. Like, the front 4 kind of kept formation, but everyone behind them really just sprayed out, and it didn't work. And that narrow track kind of showed up as well in the chicane. That chicane, the amount of overtaking that was attempted into that chicane. Obviously, it's a good spot to try it, but the amount of cars that ran through the chicane, like on the first lap. I don't even think there was any...
the first chicane, was it? Or the second one? Because there's 2.
Yeah, sorry, the first chicane. Everyone just bounced straight through it. I mean, and both races, for that matter, just a lot of overtakes into there, a lot of shunts. We end up seeing a spin in the quali race as well, where I think it was the BMW and the Lamborghini got together. Well, I think the BMW nudged the Lambo originally out of the way, and then the Lamborghini just turned him around coming in.
He just kept just drove straight into the back of him and turned him around.
Yeah,
going into the chicane.
Yeah, exactly. There was a lot more bump and grind and a lot more, rubbing his racing than I've seen for a long time. It was a bit of a crazy qualifying race, I thought. Anyway,
I suppose it's probably the tight track that invites that type of racing.
Definitely, and we saw it last time that Blancpain was there as well in 2015. It was a tremendous race, and like sometimes I even think of going back to watch it because you actually had one of each of the marquees, like all the different manufacturers, fighting for the lead. They were all right on top of each other and going for moves on just about every corner they could, and it was fantastic racing. But because it's so narrow and there's not that many opportunities to actually overtake, it does make it quite hard. So you've really got to be committed and right up the side of them to actually make a move stick. And if you're not, then you've got to get out of there. Otherwise, you're in for a penalty.
Yeah, that's it. And there was a lot of incidents, a lot more than I think you would regularly see. It just seems like every time somebody tried to do an overtake, it resulted in an accident. Like obviously not every time, but there was just a lot of it. And that's the track for it. And it's an interesting track. It's a cool track, but yeah, very narrow for these big cars. But I'll tell you one thing that it was good for, the Zolder track, and that's for the Audi drivers. It was a good weekend to be driving an Audi.
Yes,
yeah,
it was.
They just bloody turned on after being absolutely nowhere all year. The WRT team is based out of Belgium, so obviously that's their home track. So they do have a bit of data there, but the Audis usually go pretty well there anyway. So all year so far, the Audi has been pretty much nowhere. And then practice one, you got 5 Audis, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then throughout the weekend, obviously, they did have a lot of pace. But I don't know, something just suits the Audi. But, whatever
race
works.
2, the top 4 were all Audis.
Well, the AMGs weren't looking too bad until they just took themselves out. There was 2 AMGs that got together, and then like the balls up at the start with the drive-through. For race 2, what was it? One AMG took off a bit, one Audi hung back, so it exaggerated both of them. And then got another penalty. There was the jump start penalty, and what was the other one? Was it a?
I think it was pit lane.
Still on the jack stands. Still on the jack stands.
Yeah, he started his engine up before he was off the jack stands because, of course, you have to be off the jacks before you can start your engine. And he was in 3rd place and ended up having to do another drive-through.
Yeah, that wasn't the leader though. It was the very start of the race before the start. Yeah, the 3-minute mark, you got to be off the jack stand, sitting on the ground, ready to go, and they were still on.
Yep, and number 58, McLaren got that penalty as well. The one you guys are thinking about in pits where he was on the jacks and started the engine before the car was on the ground was actually Maxi Book, who managed to go from, I think it was 12th up to 4th during that whole start mayhem. So I was like just jumping around the room thinking, hell yeah, this is awesome. And he was strong, very, very quick and fighting much yellow the whole time. And it was really good racing up the front with the front 4. But yeah, then they got that penalty in the pit lane, which obviously put them back to, I think it was 16th or something. Yeah. They fought through a little bit and ended up finishing the weekend pretty well. I think it was about 6th or something.
Yeah. That was actually, was it Pereira that got in the car or got out of the car when that incident
got into the car?
Yeah, he got in, yeah. So it was actually Pereira that caused the penalty then.
Yeah,
I mean... effort, yeah.
Yeah, it sucks, but there you go. That's right. You win as a team, you die as a team.
That's right.
And early on the battle between the 75 Audi and the number 2 Audi, which was a cracker.
That was a good little battle. Yeah, but man, the pit stop. Didn't they cock that up?
From watching other racing, because I try and watch a bit of Blancpain, but I haven't watched it a lot. So trying to take it all in, figure out who's who. Anyway, lead 2, away from the field. They're fighting for the lead. What was it? It was the number 2 Audi was 2nd.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I think it was Winkelhock that was out in the first stint, wasn't he?
Yep.
Yeah, Winkelhock was driving.
Yeah.
Yep. All over first place. and then they both peel into the pits at the same time. And you think, if you've got the pace, do one more lap. Just do one more.
Well, I think in the end it didn't matter. The 75 got it so wrong in the pits.
They bolted up, so it didn't matter. But at the same time, like, why would you pit at the same time? Because if they both do the same pit stop, you're going to come out at the same time. So wouldn't you do one more lap just to give yourself that chance?
The main thing, and this obviously comes down to knowing the category as well, is WRT over the last couple of years have been the team to beat when it comes to pit stop times. So WRT would have known that they were going to be quicker in the pits.
Yep.
Regardless, like even if they made an error, they were probably still going to be quick. It was obviously compounded by the fact that ISR then screwed their pit stop up.
Yeah.
Massive.
Well, I think old mate even forgot to pull their air hose out as he ran past. Didn't he run past and have to go back to pull the air hose back out?
He reached out to try and grab it, but he missed it, so he had to go back to get it.
Yeah, that looked awkward and just slowed him down.
It was, but I mean that's sort of how it goes. But I think it wouldn't have mattered, and that's what I think that Winkelhock was thinking as he was racing, and it's probably what was being told on the radio. Just race, stick as close to him as you can, because you just want to keep going further away from the field behind you.
Yeah.
Because if you guys battle, then obviously the people behind you are going to catch. So just let him go and just stay with him, because when it comes to pitting time, they're going to get in. And Will Stevens, obviously ex-Formula 1 driver and all that, is a much faster driver than the other driver that got into the Audi. I think it was Michael Meadows. So they knew that they were going to have a faster pit stop, but they also knew they were going to have a faster driver in the car afterwards. So it was a double win for WRT there. But I mean, they were very fast all weekend, so they deserved it. I have no problems with that at all.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Well, look, we best move on at this point away from the Blancpain. Good race, though, and of course you can catch up on the GT World channel. If you didn't watch the race, certainly recommend watching it. It was interesting and a very good track. But moving on to MotoGP, we have a new winner in Andrea Dovizioso. Not new winner, like it's not his first ever win, but it is the first one of the season.
Yeah, new for the season. His third win and his first win in the dry.
It is, yeah, it is. It was a big weekend for Dovizioso, and he just did well. Like I was waiting for him to lose pace, to slow down, and it didn't happen. He was strong, and he made it his race.
Well, he started quite a long way back too, didn't he?
Yeah, he started.
What he started?
No, I actually can't remember where he qualified.
Yeah,
my head.
Well, and what about his moment? It could have all been over on lap 2. He was reasonably wide coming into turn 1, come over the bit of the crest. What is it? About 340k on the brakes, and the bike's just bucking all the way in there.
Pig rooting into the corner. I thought for sure it was gone.
Yeah, but no, he held it together.
He is one of the best breakers on the field, though, and I think that's probably what saved him.
He's the latest of the late breakers, as they do say, which is probably his strong point. That probably saved him there. Rossi had an amazing start, got away, and then, weirdly enough, it was very short-lived. I think it was only a couple of laps in, and then he started to get swamped up. But Lorenzo, he actually led a part of the race on the Ducati.
He did.
And it was only a few laps in, I think, and then Dovi passed him. So, Dovi would be thinking, well, what about my bank balance?
Getting paid. I don't know how much he's getting paid, but I'd imagine
probably half.
Nowhere near Lorenzo.
So Lorenzo's start was good. Apparently, he made the judgment that his start would be good and then he'd fade away, but whatever.
Yeah, I think he talks himself into these things half the time.
I think so. And to start with, it's weird. I was in two minds. I was like, oh, cool. Lorenzo's at the front. Nice to see Ducati up there. And then a part of me was just like, what are you doing up here? Go away.
Yeah, it was strange to see because he's not been up there. But, yeah, I think Lorenzo's a very mental sort of guy. And I think if you go out for a race and you say, look, I'm going to be strong at the start, but I'll fade mid-race, unsurprisingly, you're going to do it.
He accepts it, yeah.
Yeah, he goes, well, I knew this was going to happen, so you don't sort of push through it. But, yeah, look, he did drop all the way back to 8th in the end. So
Alicia Spargro shown speed as well, but then he had a jump start, and then had another issue and stuff like that. So like the Aprilia is getting better.
Oh, no doubt about it. Yeah, it's starting to do some good things.
Yeah, but there's a few little sort of issues, whether it's them, reliability, whatever, the rider, few little things going on there.
It's
But
not quite there yet, but it certainly made some big jumps. And, given where it was last year, it's made some huge jumps, I think.
Yep.
I don't think Sam Lowe's is really steering the ship the best that he possibly can.
No, he's probably like a data guy, really.
Yeah, at this point, unfortunately.
Yeah. Dovey getting his win as well, just sort of on sickness and injuries part of it all. He actually had food poisoning, and he didn't go out for the morning warm-up. Or if he did, he only did a couple of laps. And
I don't think he went out at all. I think he actually scrubbed morning warm-up.
Yeah, so for him to do the race and to win, because normally Dovey is Captain Fade, good on him. And Valentino Rossi, he obviously had his sort of training accident at his ranch, I think it was. Come off his bike and hurt his his ribs or...
Yeah, I think it was his ribs and that sort of thing. Bruised,
something like that.
Battered.
Yeah, he started to fade at the end. I was a little bit sad that he didn't get a podium, especially in Mugello, because the crowd would have just jizzed everywhere if he was on the podium. Especially
it would have been a good thing, but he just, I don't know, he looked strong at the start. Unusually strong, I thought, for Rossi. He's normally someone that builds into the race and comes good at the end. He started really strong, he was there, he wouldn't let anyone get away, and he just faded away.
Yeah. At one point it looked like he was just doing his traditional, I'm just going to sit here, not do anything for a while, look after the tyres, conserve myself, and then have a plant at the end. And normally when he would start to make his charge, he just sort of faded back a little bit. But overall, it's a good result considering obviously what happened.
I think there was a lot of good results. Actually, it's an odd weekend because, Dovizioso in first. That's not something we were used to seeing, and we saw it. Danilo Petrucci in third on the podium on the Pramac Racing Ducati. Like, that's huge.
Oh,
it was dry, it wasn't wet.
His ride was unreal. That's a 2017 Ducati as well, wasn't it? Did I hear that right?
Yeah, I think the Pramac is the 17, but it's still a customer bike. It's not going to be getting all the flash bits that Lorenzo and Dovizioso are getting. But yeah, I believe it is a 17 bike.
Yeah, so how's that? He's probably, I don't know, he'd be earning bugger all in comparison.
Probably nearly paying for the seat, no doubt.
To the other guys, and he's outshining Lorenzo, so that was huge.
It was a big race, and then let's not forget Alvaro Bautista on the Aspar Ducati, which is a 2015 Ducati, I think. He came fifth.
Yeah, how many times have we said that he probably really shouldn't be here anymore? His skill set isn't quite with the big boys.
No, he seems to have faded off over the years, and it was a dry race. There was nothing exceptional about
it is a Ducati circuit, no doubt about it.
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure.
Like their straight line speed is unreal, and if you can hold position for the rest of the lap, but regardless of that, great result. Marc Marquez sort of just nowhere, did nothing the whole race.
Did nothing. Came sixth in the end. It was, Vinales in second, you expect. Rossi in fourth, a little disappointing, but you'd accept it. Marquez in sixth. That's unusual, given that he didn't run off the track. He didn't have any big incidents. That's just where he came on pace. Zarco, it's one of his, even though it's seventh, which is great on the Tech 3, it was probably one of his weaker performances of the year.
It had been. He apparently said that he was going to be stronger towards the end of the race and make just a bit of a casual start to the race and sort of plan it out, which is not really how he's taken every race so far this year. He's just sort of balls to the walls from the get-go.
A bull at a gate, and he tried to do the opposite. He was too far behind. As it was, he finished, I think, 8 seconds behind Marquez in sixth, and he was in second. So it didn't matter how much pace you've got at the end, you're not gonna make that up. But even Michele Pirro on the Ducati managed to come ninth.
Yeah, yep.
It's it was an odd race. You got Tito Rabat for the first time comfortably outperforming Jack Miller. I think that's the first time in MotoGP career.
It is, and it was his first time in Q2 as well.
Yeah.
He finished. What did he finish? 11th, and Miller was 15th. He managed to scrape through with a point. Miller is hurt though.
He is hurt. Yeah.
His big crash at Le Mans.
It was an odd topsy-turvy round with some strange results. Some people you expect to be fast, not fast. Obviously, Crutchlow wasn't his fault this time around. He actually got taken out.
No, Danny took him out on the last lap.
I know. But they weren't quick. Pedrosa and Crutchlow weren't quick, and then they end up DNFing anyway. It's hard to feel sorry for Cal because every other weekend he throws it away and it's all his fault. Can't blame anyone but himself. But the one race he actually looked like he was going to finish, and Danny Pedrosa, someone who doesn't ever take anyone out since he probably took out Nicky Hayden in the year Nicky Hayden won the championship. That was a bad one. But other than that,
Danny just doesn't make mistakes like that. And Cal, he's quite funny with his pace. He's either pushing a podium or he's nowhere, or he falls off.
yeah, pretty much. So it's it was just an odd race, but it was good. It was entertaining nonetheless, and that was pretty much the wrap up. So we've obviously got Formula One coming up this weekend. We've got the Australian GTs at Winton, so I'll be looking forward to you letting us know how that goes, Ryan. And but I think for this week, I am going to thank everyone who has joined us for this episode. Hopefully you have enjoyed it, and of course, feel free to check out all of our podcasts as well as our last video from Phillip Island on YouTube or by visiting flagtoflag.ml.
MotoGP this weekend too, sorry.
Yeah, MotoGP this weekend as well. So it's going to be a big round, going to be a big week next week. Going to be a good chat. So
it will.
Yeah. Well, last but not least, thanks for joining me, Ryan and Willie.
No worries.
Pleasure as always.
Well, we look forward to talking to you all next time. Bye for now.